What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to my Vernalizer Fairy combo video. This deck is one of the most complicated decks I've played in a while, and I feel like the world is your oyster with this deck. You have so many options. The only small little issue is that if you use one of the Vernalizer Fairy effects, you are locked under only using the effect of Earth monsters for the rest of the turn. Not for like the whole turn, but for the rest of the turn. So yeah, you can do a lot, but at the same time, you can't do like infinite things. It's still a really explosive deck, and if we get a few cards unbanned, such as Glow Bulb, this deck could definitely start vomiting the Cherry Beast left and right. So this deck is probably going to keep getting better and better over time, as long as we keep getting generic Earth support, honestly, because it is very easy to search Earth monsters and foolish them and revive them back. And it's not even like you had to revive back only Vernalizer Fairy monsters. It really is just Earth monsters, not even Earth Fairy. So you can technically revive back Earth machines or Regulus, as you can probably tell with this field spell in my hand. So before this video starts, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel already if you're not. Dude, you're misplaying if you're not subscribed to my channel. Jesus, I can't stress that enough. And if this video can get to 1,000 likes, I will be making a live stream on this deck. And it will be very entertaining because I probably suck with the deck, and this is going to be very fun. So let's jump right into combo number 1 out of 5. What I've managed to come up with I don't know, maybe like one full day of cooking and brewing. So this combo right there has Winnie the Pooh number 2, and then a field spell and a continuous spell. So look at what you can do. Oh my god. Alright, so you're going to be using the field spell to search the Regulus. Very easy to revive itself back. Ironically, you don't even use the effective Regulus to like summon it from the hand, because you kind of just don't really play any machines. But don't worry, trust me. So you're going to be pitching the Regulus with the effect of the Vernalizer Fairy of Forest and Awakening in order to foolish for Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo. And now you're going to be reviving back the Regulus. So right off the bat, we already have an Omni Negate, which is pretty nice. And now we're going to be activating the continuous spell. So while this continuous spell is on the field once per turn, if you'd use the effect of a Vernalizer Fairy, you don't have to pay the cost of sending another card, another monster or Vernalizer Fairy card from your hand to the graveyard in order to use its effect. So you can just use the Vernalizer Fairy, its effect on its own, and that will work. So you get to revive back an Earth monster from the grave and draw one card, and the card that we're reviving back is the monster that we foolished with a Fairy of Forest and Awakening. And just like that, we have an Omni Negate, a Fossil Dyna, a draw, and this Fossil Dyna is kind of like evil because your opponent will never really be able to out this Fossil Dyna. Neither player can special summon monsters while Fossil Dyna is on the field, so all your opponent can really do is normal summon. But at the same time, if you normal summon a powerful monster and jump over the Fossil Dyna, it's not gonna work because my field spell is going to protect my Fossil Dyna from dying by battle, and therefore I have managed to create a soft lock. Just like that, relatively simple combo, but of course it gets more complicated and more explosive than that. So let's get right into combo number 2 now. Alrighty, so one thing that I realize is that this deck really synergizes well with the Shizu cards. Very powerful Earth Fairy monsters that are really insane in tier elements, but that doesn't mean that they're only good in tier elements. They're also pretty good in this deck, and you're going to understand why in a moment. So my hand has Caldo the Possessed Statue with calendar rotation. Honestly, don't even know their names. I just don't know what they do by like their artwork. And then the Forest and Awakening, the Fairy and Flower Buds. This card is very similar to like Ritual Beast Steeds. And finally, we have the Melting Snow. So these two cards, you actually already saw them. So this combo, I'm going Keldo, pitch the Forest and Awakening, and that's going to be searching me the Mudora. And now I'll be pitching the Melting Snow to summon the Mudora, activate the Gravekeeper's Trap, and I'll be pitching the Calendar Rotation to search for the Hills and Blooms. This card is actually a searcher for any Vernalizer Fairy card, including spells and traps, so that's actually really good. And of course, we're not done yet. So pitch the other trap card, revive back the Fairy of Hills and Bloom, search the field spell, and now we're going to be activating the field spell, banish the the Flower Buds from the grave to summon the Fairy Goddess, the most recent card that we got announced for Power of the... No, sorry. I don't think it's Power of the Elements. It's Darkwing Blast. Yeah, the most recent set in the OCG. And we're not done yet, of course, because we can make Abyss Dweller, and this is a very oppressive board because we get to revive back an Earth monster on our opponent's turn with the effect of Fairy Goddess, and that's going to trigger the Vernalizer Fairy field spell in order to bounce back any monster on the field and in either graveyard, which means that you can recycle back your hand trap. So that's actually really scary. And thanks to your Hills and Blooms, your Vernalizer Fairy monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. So even Regeki won't achieve that much, and you can just Dweller on standby. So this combo is already quite oppressive, and you get a nice follow-up because you can have like a Soul Charge in the graveyard. The Calendar Rotation, if you have no cards in your hand, during your opponent's turn, you can banish it, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard. in order to revive back as many Vernalizer Fairy monsters from your grave, but return them to the hand during the end phase. So imagine having like a triple Soul Charge in your deck that is easy to search, and the Soul Charge effect is actually in the graveyard. So that's even better because you can pitch it and Soul Charge on your opponent's turn, and end phase you get back 5 cards in your hand. So very, very good grind game, and that's the beauty about this deck. But again, let's get right into combo number 3 now. So of course, since every card in this deck is an Earth Fairy monster, basically, it really synergizes well with Herald of Orange Light because you can negate any monster effect just by discarding a fairy monster as well with the Herald of Orange Light, which means that you could theoretically play Herald of Green Light or Herald of Purple Light, but I don't really recommend it because Orange Light is always usually better. And we also have the Cestus Oracle, the Mudora with the Kelbeck. This card is the most popular out of the 4, because it is the most generic one. It's actually a hand trap. And of course, we have the field spell with the calendar rotation. So I'll be going Mudora, pitch the Kelbeck, and then activate my Gravekeeper's Trap. And thanks to the effect of Kelbeck, both players mill 5 cards. So since you actually play a lot of Keldos and Mudoras, even if your opponent triggers like whatever Tear Elements effects in the grave, you can actually chain your Keldo or Mudora in order to shuffle them back in the grave. And that way your opponent can't fuse. And anyways, now we're going to be pitching a card in order to search any Earth Fairy with Gravekeeper's Trap. So this synergy is insane because you get access to your Vernalizer Fairy cards with your Ishizu cards. So just like that, your Gravekeeper's Trap, which is actually a trap card, can be used on turn 1 in order to search your Vernalizer Fairy Searcher. So that's actually a really fantastic synergy. And now we're activating the field spell, pitch the blooms, whatever. Search your big monster, the Fairy Goddess. I love this card. And you're also going to be triggering the field spell, recycle back the Keldo, and pitch the Goddess in order to summon the Keldo, search Exchange of the Spirit, and now make Baguska pass turn. And this combo is ridiculously unfair because on your draw phase, you can declare any card name. If your opponent drew the card that is the declared card name, he has to like put it back, send it to the graveyard. So if you can stack your opponent's deck, you can do some pretty disgusting things. Or if you actually cheat and you know what you're... No, I'm just kidding. But of course, we have the Baguska, and we're going to have a Soul Charge in 2 seconds. But on top of that, we have a Dweller and Sanafon. That's really overpowered because Gravekeeper's Trap is like one of the best floodgates in the entire game when you have Exchange of the Spirit in your grave. And we're pitching it, so you know your opponent can't do anything at all with the graveyard. And on top of that, every monster effect on the field is negated. So your opponent has no access to the field and no access to the graveyard. That's really unfair. But it gets worse because, again, you're going to be soul charging for as many Vernalizer Fairies from your grave, which again get bounced back to the hand on end phase. And we're also searching a hand trap, which is Kelbeck. But to make matters worse, the field spell actually bounces back another card. So just like that, you can bounce back Herald of Orange Light, and now you have whatever double hand trap. Really depends on what else you have in your hand. But that is all, like, on its own, this is already like a, you know, I want to say unbreakable board. Because again, Baguska plus Gravekeeper's Trap covers a lot of ground. And on top of that, you have Herald of Orange Light with Kelbeck. So even if you get Dark Rulered, you still have your Dweller and Sanafond, and you have hand traps. So that's it for this combo. Let's get right into combo number 4. Alright, combo number 4, I have Kelbeck with Hills and Blooms. I really can't get any of their names right. I'm so sorry. Calendar Rotation, which is the Soul Charge again, Keldo, and Regulus. So I'm going to be going Blooms in order to revive back the Regulus and search for the Duck. This card is actually really nice. It's the most recent one as well. Seedlings and Haze. This searches any Earth Fairy monster from your deck to your hand, whereas this searches any Vernalizer Fairy card from your deck to your hand. So in other words, this can't really search the Ishizu cards, but this can, which can definitely be very interesting. But the issue is that it's a level 3, whereas this is a level 4. So if you want to make Dweller, Baguska, etc., you're going to have to be using this card. But it's fine because every monster is a monster reborn anyways. Now we're going to go Keldo, pitch the Kelbeck, search Gravekeeper's Trap, and then Kelbeck effect, mill 5, and we mill the Calendar Rotation again. Free real estate, and now we go Seedlings and Haze, pitch the Calendar Rotation, revive back the Kelbeck, and we're going to be searching for Agido, make the Dweller, set the Gravekeeper's Trap, and pass turn. Abyss Dweller on our opponent's standby phase, so we have Dweller, Regulus, and Gravekeeper's Trap, and we get to Soul Charge for as many monsters as we can, which is insanity. So revive back 4 monsters just like that, and their effects are non-negated. So your Fairy Goddess can be a huge interruption when you have 5 or more Earth monsters on the field, which is the case. So just like that, you can negate and destroy any monster effect your opponent activates. And we have a lot of recursion, and we can search again for another hand trap, which is Kelbeck, and we get to mill 5 cards. So if you mill Exchange of the Spirit, we can cover the graveyard again. So very massive turn 1 boards, and it's funny because we summon a lot on our opponent's turn, so sometimes even Nibiru doesn't actually do that much against this deck. And we have that Omni Negate very early, which is the Regulus. So definitely great synergy with the Therions and with the Shizu cards. Anyways, let's get right into the 5th and final combo now. Alrighty, so this combo is extremely innovative and I really like it. So I have Field Spell, Call by the Grave, Ash, Seedlings and Haze, and Hills and Blooms. Look at what I can do. So I activate Field Spell, search the Regulus, and then Seedlings and Haze, pitch the Regulus, and then search for Mudora. And now we're going to be going Mudora, pitch the Blooms, and then get your Gravekeeper's Trap, and you're going to be pitching any card to search for the Winnie the Pooh. Doesn't really matter that much because this is basically just to draw one. But the important thing is that you're searching Hills and Blooms, and now we have 2 level 4 monsters on the field. We haven't used our normal summon yet, and that's the beauty about this deck. It doesn't use its normal summon. We have an Omni Negate, we have the Theron's Field Spell. Do you know what we're going to be doing? We're going to be going for one of the sickest move out there. Gallant Granite, Jesus. Search for Fossil Dyna. And now we go normal summon, and this is Merry Christmas for everyone, because again, you can't special summon, and if you try to jump over the Fossil Dyna battle, I'm just going to be foolishing for Regulus, and you cannot jump over me. So you basically have to pass turn there, and my follow-up is going to be completely lethal, and you're gonna die. So I love this deck, man. I think it has a lot of potential, and with more support, it can just get better, as I keep saying. So that's pretty much it for this combo video. Let me know your thoughts about this deck in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.